Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you a Beach Boys classic, Wouldn't It Be Nice? Now, I think the coolest thing about this arrangement, other than what you guys heard, which is, well, it sounds really, really fun to play, is that it uses a mix of strumming and fingerpicking. So it's kind of the best of both worlds in that you get to work on both styles of playing. Now, with that said, I did get a chance to play through it this afternoon, and I've got to say that it's perfect for those of you who are transitioning into the intermediate level. Now, if you're wondering how I define the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced player, then be sure to check out this link right here. I'll also put a link in the description box below. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, you guys are going to learn the entire song. But if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, and do a search for Wouldn't It Be Nice? Now, also on that page will be the on-screen tab viewer. So this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a really great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this tune, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
In today's video, we're going to work on a solo arrangement of Wouldn't It Be Nice by the Beach Boys. This is going to use a lot of strumming throughout it, so when we're working on this, it's important to get really comfortable keeping that hand moving, but we'll talk more about that as we go through it. Let's go ahead and start with the intro, the pickup bar. To start here, we're going to take our ring finger and place it on the 7th fret of the A string, and then we're going to use our index finger here on the 5th fret of the A string, and then we're going to slide that index down to 3, and then we're going to add the ring finger on 5. So it goes 7 and then 5, 3, 5. So in time, that sounds something like this. 2 and 3. And that is a pickup bar, so it doesn't receive a full measure worth of beats. But as we go now into measure 1, we can see that we're going to be playing with some of these strumming parts. This is a really cool thing because it's going to be a melody note on our G string, our high G. And to make that sound really good, we want to, when we do the strum, use our thumb to do almost what's called a ghost note, but a little bit different in that we're going to strum down, but we're not going to strum over all 4 strings. We're instead going to really catch the G and hit the C string a little bit in there too. If you catch the E string as well, it's not a big deal. It's just as long as the G string is what the focus is on, you're going to be good to go. Now the chord that's going to be played next is a C chord. So take your index finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string, and then we're going to use our index finger for a down strum followed by a second down strum. We're then going to do that little thumb strum again because the melody is now on the G string again. And then we're going to come up with our ring finger on 5 of the A. So measure 1 looks something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now as we go on to measure 2, we're going to begin this measure missing a downstroke with our finger. You'll notice that we're not supposed to strum on the beat 1, but then we're going to come up on a C chord, so the index finger here on 3 of the A, and then we're going to come up again on 7 of the A, and I like to use the ring finger, but I like a little trick here. Instead of just playing it, we can slide into it. And the way that we do that is we add our ring finger on 5 of the A, we do our up strum, and as soon as we make contact with the strings, we then begin a slide. Then we follow this now with another up strum on 5 of the A, and we use our index finger there for that 5 on the A. Then we're going to do a down strum, slide down to 3 with our index, and then another up strum with 5 on the A, again with the ring. You'll notice that the fingers are moving all around, but it's very efficient with the motions. So it looks something like this. Here it is in time, really, really slow, measure 2. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And here is measures 1 and 2 now in time so that you can hear how the strumming part really starts. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now when it's played slow, it doesn't quite sound like the song. And so just as a little aside here, whenever you're working on a strum-based chord melody like this, you have to trust that what you're working on is correct. And when you speed it up, it starts to sound more correct for what, the song should sound like. And I know that sounds funny, but if we look at it and I play through measures 1 and 2 in time, you hear how much more it sounds like the song. See how much nicer that is? But the reality is we can't play it like that until we develop the muscle memory at a nice slow speed. So let's go ahead and move on to measure 3 now. We're going to switch to what's called an F add 9 chord. Very simple, just take your index finger, place it here on the first fret of the E string. We're going to do a down strum. Then we're going to do another down strum with our pinky on 5 of the A. And then we're going to do an up strum. We're going to miss coming down, and then we're going to slide that up to 7 on the A. Now, this is a huge stretch. You might not be able to do this stretch because it's so big, and that's okay. A lot of times in songs, we'll have a stretch that isn't quite possible. And in this particular case, we can actually just mute the E string by raising the pressure off of the index finger so that we get that A string that we need the sound for, but the E string now is muted. So if you struggle with this big stretch, as your pinky slides up to 7, it's okay for your index to follow a bit and just release the pressure to mute it. So that's up. And then the final part of that measure is another up strum on this G7 sus2 chord. All that we do is take our middle finger, place it on 2 of the C, and our index finger here on 1 of the E, and do an up. So that measure in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, again, if you struggle with that slide up to 7, it's okay to mute the string. As we go now on to measure 4, we're going to miss on the first strum, and we're going to still be holding that G7 sus2 from the previous measure. We're going to go up, down, up, and then we're going to go all the way up to a G6 chord. To play this, we're going to take our index and bar it all the way across 7, all 4 strings, and do a down strum here. And then we're going to pluck the G string. And then we're going to add our middle finger here to 8 on the E string, and then play the 7 on the G again to get that melody. So measure 4 now in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And now from here, as we go on to the next measure, you'll notice that this is the same as measure 1 was. It's going to be the same C chord. We're going to do the same little motion with our thumb to get the melody on the G string, 2 downstrokes on the C chord, and we're going to do the same little ghost note there on the G string, followed by an up on the 5 of the A. So exactly the same, which is really quite nice. So that measure 5 in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now as we go on to measure 6, we're going to continue the same thing that we did in measure 2. We're going to be coming up on a C chord, and then we're going to come up on the 7 of the A, so that's our little slide moment. So add the ring finger on 5 of the A, slide it up to 7 with the up strum, and then we're going to do another up strum on 5 of the A, moving that index finger there. And then we do a down strum on a C chord, index down to 3 on the A. And then we come up on the 5 on the A again with our ring finger. Same exact thing as measure 2. So in time, that one is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then as we go on to measure 7 here, once again, the same. Measure 7 is actually exactly the same as measure 3. We're going to be going to our F add 9, index finger here on the first fret of the E string, We're going to go down on that, then down on 5 with the pinky on the A string, up, then we're going to miss and come up again on that 7. And if you struggle with that stretch, as I mentioned before, the index finger can just mute. And then we're going to do a miss followed by an up on that G7 sus2. Exactly the same measure as 3 to play. So in time, measure 7, something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going right on to measure 8. Measure 8 is very similar to a measure that we played earlier on 4, but it ends differently. We're going to start with still that G7 sus2, so middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the C string, index finger here on the 1st fret of the E string. We're going to miss going on our first strum, and then we're going to come up, down, up. And then we're going to complete the G7 by taking our ring finger and placing it on the 2nd fret of the A string and get that 2 down strums. So that in time sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And this concludes the A section, the A melody of the song. So that you can hear all of these different parts put together so far, I'm going to play the whole A part. I'm going to play it nice and slow, and then we'll talk a little bit about speeding it up. But it should sound something like this, including the pickup bar. Should be... Now you'll notice when I play it really slow, I tend to not swing it as much, and then as I speed it up as I did just there, that swing feel can kind of come along. You'll notice at the beginning of the song, it does have a marker that says swing feel. I actually recommend when you're developing the muscle memory and counting it really slow to not practice the swing, just because it's so difficult to swing really slowly. And as you speed up, you can get a little bit more of that swing feel going. It's easier to sort of internalize and feel a swing feel than it is to play it really slow. So it's okay to practice more straight and start swinging it more as you go through. But let's go ahead and look at part B now. So part B of the song is going to be a little bit less strumming at the beginning. It's going to start with an A minor / C chord. To do this, we're going to take our index finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the G string. Or alternatively, we can use our middle finger. How do we decide which one to use? Well, we can look at the chord that comes before it. With the G7 chord, it can be a little bit easier to get that middle finger over, but if you're more comfortable with the index, it's okay. It doesn't matter too much. Then we're going to play open on the E string twice. I just use my thumb here with my playing hand for all of this run. And then I play 1 with the index, 3 with the ring, open on the A, 2 on the A with the middle, and 3 on the A with the ring finger. So that goes something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and then we're going to go to measure 10 here, which goes to a G minor 7 chord. And this is one of my favorites on the uke. All that it is a G shape moved up a few frets. So we're going to take our index and place it on 5 of the C string. Our ring finger place it on 6 of the E string, and our middle will place it on 5 of the A string. You see that's like a G chord, just moved up 3 frets instead. That makes it a G minor 7 chord. I like to strum through all 4 strings with my thumb to start, and then you see the strum marker there for a down strum, and then I play 5 on the C, open A, and open G. So I just take that middle finger off of the A string to get that open. So measure 10 in time is something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that you can hear measures 9 and 10 put together, it's sort of a pair. It sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Going on to measure 11, you'll notice 11 looks familiar because it's exactly identical to measure 9 in terms of the notes that are played. But interestingly enough, the way that we play the last few notes is just a little bit different to help set up measure 12. So when we start at 11 here, we do our down strum. We do the open E twice, 1 on the E with the index, 3 on the E with the ring, open on the A. And then instead of using the middle finger and the ring, we're going to use the index the whole way. We're going to play 2 on the A string with the index, and then 3 on the A with the index, which is more inefficient, but it makes it more effective for the next chord, because when we look ahead to measure 12, we're going to slide that all the way up to fret 10, and we're going to add the middle finger here to 11 of the C string to make my personal favorite E minor chord on the ukulele. So having the index finger play those makes that transition a lot easier. We strum through that with a thumb, then we follow that with a down, up, down. And then to finish this measure 12, what we're going to do is bar all the way across 5 on the G, C, E, and A strings, and add our ring finger to 7 of the A. And this creates what's called an F major 7 chord. We're going to play just the G string, and then we're going to come up on the chord. So measure 12, kind of dicey, a little bit more difficult than some of the others. We're going to go through with our thumb, and then down, up, down, move to the bar across 5, play the G string, and then up with 7 on the A for that F major 7 chord. So in time, 12 sounds something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And here's 11 and 12 so that you can hear it with the run. Now we're in the home stretch here. We're going to go on to measure 13. This is going to be a D minor 7 chord. You're still barring all the way across 5. You just take the ring finger off. And the strum pattern that's used here is pretty straightforward. We're going to miss on the opening beat, and we're going to come up, miss again going down, and come up, then go down, miss coming up, and then another down. So the rhythm there is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and miss. And then measure 14 is going to go to a G7 chord, and this is my favorite G7. I've used it, I think, on a few arrangements here at Rock Class. Index finger bar across 5 on the C, E, and A, leaving the G string open. Take your ring finger, place it on 7 of the E string, do a down strum. Really cool sounding chord. And then we're going to play the pickup bar, which is just the end of measure 14. So the end of measure 14 is exactly the same as the pickup bar all the way at the beginning of the song. So 14 in time should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3. And from this point, it repeats all the way back. And we'll talk about that repeat in just a moment, but just so that you can hear it, here's the entirety of section B starting at measure 9 in a nice slow time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. From this point, it goes back to the beginning of the song. And so we go all the way back now to measure 1, and we play through this whole part. As we get here to measure 8, you'll notice there's some text on the tab. And that tab says a fermata on second time. And what this means is the second time we play this, which is right now, that very last G7, we're going to add a fermata. And all that a fermata is to hold the note for an indefinite amount of time. So we're going to play it and just let it ring. And the reason is, if you listen to the original recording of Wouldn't It Be Nice, the way that the song kind of, ends and has this unique sort of dream sequence sound where everything goes really slow. And so we emulated it in this arrangement by doing a fermata here on this G7, letting it ring. And then now, as we go into the B section for the second time, we're going to go at half the speed we played it the first time. And we really want to use what's called a rubato feel. And for more information on rubato, check out the link down below where we did a live lesson talking about playing with feeling and rubato, because that's really what we want the second half to have. So we're going to play the A minor chord, a B, and we're going to do the same. But we want it really slow and dreamlike. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. And then what you'll notice is when we get to that repeat marker again, we don't go back because we already did it. So we go on measure 15 to finish the song. And to do that, all that we do is play a C chord with our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. So that whole last B part needs to just be slowed down and played with rubato, but otherwise it's exactly the same. Same fingering, same strumming, same picking, all of it's the same, just the emotion that you're sort of playing it with. So here's the B section with that rubato so that you can sort of hear it. And you can hear, especially at the end, I slow it down, add a little retardant. It just sounds so nice. So there you have it. That is Wouldn't It Be Nice? This is a really fun arrangement to play to get comfortable with the strumming. And remember, the sliding technique that I talked about at the beginning, where we can slide into that 7 on the A, you can kind of practice doing that slide whenever you're switching between these different parts. I really like kind of creating that, that just, adding it in different places. You can add it anytime that you're making a movement between parts. It's just a lot of fun and can add a nice embellishment. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time for the next lesson here on Rock Class 101. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this lesson was a lot of fun. This is a great, feel-good, happy, melodic song, like what you would expect from the Beach Boys. It's got that summer, good feel, good vibe to it. And I think, again, the coolest thing, in my opinion, was that it was a beautiful mix of strumming and finger picking, and you get to work on both of those styles of playing, which is really, really cool. So I do want to remind you, if you want to get the tabs to print off and keep for your records as a PDF format, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for Wouldn't It Be Nice. Don't forget, on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer, so you can hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.